Why interest rates mean higher real estate prices? I'm going to explain all of that on this week's episode of Prime Props TV. Promise you, it'll be worth it. Good day, Toronto. Welcome to another episode of Prime Properties TV. So glad you could join me here today. Every week on Prime Properties TV, we take a closer look at the Toronto real estate topics and updates that matter the most to you. And on this week's episode, I'm going to talk to you about exactly why interest rates are causing a huge increase and a run up in the real estate prices. So if you like topics like this, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the Prime Properties channel. The button should be somewhere here on the screen. It's a new camera, so I'm thinking it's somewhere here. So today I'm going to kind of go through with you step by step mathematically on reasons why we keep seeing real estate prices go up. So on today's episode, rather than kind of go through and talk about, the fundamentals like the immigration and the job growth and all the other stuff that everyone always talks about, I want to literally kind of go through the conversations that my clients are having and most people are having who are in the real estate market and why so many of these kind of like, mom and pop investors are getting into the real estate game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen for you guys right here, and you're going to see what I'm going to talk to you, because I'm going to break everything out in like a really nerdy mathematical way so you understand how everyone is looking at real estate and why so many people are getting into real estate right now. So what I have in front of me right now is two listings, or two set of listings, and it's going to be stuff that has been sold recently to give you an example of how much equity is in someone's home, and then I'm going to give you a little more realistic approach and what happened in the last 2 years. So I'm going to take one of the properties I'm going to use in the two sets is going to be one in Markham, because there's this kind of idea that a certain ethnicity keeps buying real estate. While certain of it is true, I'm not going to deny or make any comments about it. But I'm going to use this property that's in Unionville. It's called 2 Turnberry. I have to block out a lot of things for Trev reasons, but you can see here that this property was sold in August 23rd for 2004 for $536,000. So this is a 4-bedroom, 4-washroom house that's a 50-foot lot. So this is a huge house. And yes, you could buy houses like this back in the day in prime Markham area, right by Unionville High School for $500,000. And then recently, this house, not this one. And then recently, this house sold back in February 9th, 2021, so like a few weeks ago, for $1.958 million on 3 days. And they were doing multiple offers, right? Obviously, that's how it got so high. So I'm going to go through the analysis of, let's just say, hypothetically, this person never sold it, and this is what the property is worth, right? Because that's what buyers are willing to go for it. So if you were the original owners of 2 Turnberry, how much equity would you have, right? So let's go through the numbers here. Back in 2004, you bought this for $536. So what I did is basically look into the historic rate. It didn't really go that far, but it went as high as like 5.2. From what I recall and doing my other research, the interest rate on a 5-year fixed is 5.7. The reason why I'm using a 5-year fixed is just because that's the most common mortgage that everyone gets. I don't agree with it because variable wins all the way, but you get, sold the spiel of, don't you want to protect your family, right? So, and that lock in your rates. Anyways, but my point is, you could buy this for 536, and you get an interest rate of 5.7 fixed, right? So that's 5 years. So that means every month you're looking at $2,500. Now, in the new world age, like currently, so in 2021, when this property sold for 1.58, you're looking at a fixed rate interest right now of 1.39, which is crazy low, right? And this is why we're saying interest rates drive prices up. So obviously, this has effectively almost like quadrupled in price in 17 years. Damn, that's crazy. So now whoever bought this, if they're assuming, the 30-year, 20% down, you're looking at $5,300. But that's not what I'm really trying to draw your attention to, right? So what I do want to draw your attention to is not that like this property sold for $1.9 million and these guys made a lot of money if they were to sell it. Well, they did sell it, but what if they were to actually keep the property, and what would they do with the equity? So when you refinance, let's say you refinance for the amount of what it sold for. So we have to go and find out what the remaining mortgage that they were paying this whole time is. So what we're going to do is go into the mortgage calculator. You can see I have it up in the front where they started in 2004. We find the 2021 date and see what the balance of it is. So let's say February, because we are in February. Where are we? Here we go. So this amount, $278,000. I'm going to put that over here, right? So how we calculate the remaining mortgage, what the balance of the money you take out is, you basically do 80%. So new mortgage at this new amount, it's 80%, right? And then you have to pay off the balance, right? So pay off remaining mortgage with the money you get out. There's a spelling error, that's okay. So you take this new amount of mortgage, subtract the amount, and then now basically when you pay off the mortgage, this is your cash out. This is your cash out refi. This is how much money you're working with. It's like $1.28 million of what you could do with it, right? Now, obviously, this is assuming they never changed its interest rate or refinance at any point, right? Because interest rates have been kind of slumping down, as you can see on this chart on the right-hand side. But, for the sake of like examples, like this actually hasn't, let's just say it hasn't changed. Now, what we're going to do is, obviously when they refinance, you're going to be refinancing at a new amount, right? So let's take this new mortgage loan. So we put it over here. And you can see, remember, they're paying $2,500. We put that here. If it was the interest rate in 2004, they're paying $7,000, which is astronomically high. But now we're going to get 1.39, which is today's rate. So now we're at $4,400, right? So at $4,400, you can take out $1.2 million of cash to refinance to something. So even if you were to buy something in straight cash, like we can find properties for $500,000 that'll get you $2,000 rent, right? So you're gonna buy two of those properties in cash, and then you're gonna be making $4,000 in rent. So when you take your kind of quote unquote living expenses of $4,400 and you get $4,000 in rent, taxes aside and all the other stuff, you're basically living for free for $400. Whereas before, when we were looking at the mortgage, it was like I think $2,200. So you see why creating more different streams of income to kind of offset what your living costs for primary residence makes a lot of sense, right? This is what a lot of my clients are doing. So it's something we learn about. Again, I'll put my screen for a strategy call. You guys can book a call to me. But the purpose of why I'm showing this to you is this is why there's so much money that's going into real estate, because the interest rates are coming down and it's causing a lot of prices to go up, because it just makes sense for you to take money out from your property that you've made in such a long time, from like holding on for a very long time with interest rates so low. You might as well refinance, reduce your cost of borrowing every single month, and then you can take money back out. Because when the when the interest rates are coming down, people are willing to pay more money for these real estate properties. That means that when you go and refinance, you can use the comparables for the ones that sold nearby in your neighborhood. But hey, look, that one sold for X. I want to refinance at this amount. And as long as you have the income to support it, then basically you can get that money back out. And that's why people with high income are able to buy more real estate, right? And that's kind of the whole equation. But what's the other thing that crazy I'll draw attention to on the right-hand side is over here.
And one of the crazy things that's kind of blowing me away before you move on to that second example is the Bank of Canada came out, I think, a few days ago, and they finally acknowledged the fact that we're starting to see a little bit of exuberance in the real estate market. So this is Tiff Macklem from the Bank of Canada. So he's finally acknowledging that there's a little bit of quote unquote froth. No one said the B word, the bubble word yet, but he's starting to finally call it out, which I think is complete baloney, right? Like, as much as I do believe that real estate prices are going up, and I want them to, not at this crazy rate, regardless of what assets I own, because this is not sustainable. I've been saying this for a long time. But the problem is, like, I still think Bank of Canada and like the central government is just trying to force asset prices to go up because they want people to feel rich and spend more money and refinance and do something like this, right? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying these are the conversations that people are having. The thing that really kind of blows my mind is, like, they came out much, much earlier and said that, like, with the cryptocurrency right now, like Bitcoin is a speculative mania, but like cryptocurrency is going and inflating, not as crazy as say like, I really say it's not as crazy as cryptocurrency, but it's still going up at a really, really rapid rate. And it took them so long to actually acknowledge it. And the thing that really, really blows my mind is, like, Bank of Canada is actually hiring people for fintech who are cryptographers, right? And they're trying to issue their own cryptocurrency. So all of this leads me to think that, like, I think the Bank of Canada is eventually going to have their own cryptocurrency, so they can actually give money to people directly and not go to the central banks and show up on the ledger and for how much money we owe. And then when you look at the UT right here, this is exactly what they're saying. They're going to come out with their own quote unquote digital loonie. So when you kind of add in all those things that I'm trying to explain to you, it took them so long to finally acknowledge real estate is an actual bubble. And they were calling the cryptocurrency a bubble for a very, very long time as well. And they've been working on it for a while to try to kind of intervene without cryptocurrency getting too popular and bring in their own. So for them to acknowledge real estate so late, I think it's a little bit too late. And it tells me that maybe they're finally saying something about it because maybe everyone is kind of screaming and saying, guys, look at this, your interest rate's so low, it's causing all of this. But the fact that it took them so long to acknowledge it tells me that I think they want real estate prices to increase. And the reason for that is because, like I was saying earlier, real estate prices causes jobs, more income, mortgage, finance, like banking, right? Insurance, a contractor's job. There's a lot of GDP that comes from spending real estate, not to mention that, if you're in Toronto, you get 2 land transfer tax, right? That helps helps a lot into getting revenue for, a post-pandemic world for cities. So this is why, even though I don't think real estate prices are sustainable at this pace, I think for the short term, they're going to keep it at this rate because it's helping the economy recover. And the government, I think, is just letting that bubble run away. Now, a lot of you may be thinking, in this last example, as well as then I didn't buy anything in 2004. None of this actually makes sense to me, right? So I'm going to have the next set of example I have, which is in the East End. Anyone kind of who like regular people, or not regular, but like with higher income bought something. So this is a property on Logan. So this is on the East End by Danforth. So this is a property that in 2019 was bought for $1.3 million. And also it was now recently sold for $1.521 million back in January. So I bet you this property would go for even more right now because the difference in January and February now is actually quite stark. But again, just for comparison's sakes. So let's look at the first one. If you bought this in 2019, same thing to show you. 2019, the interest rates were about 2.54 here. There you go. So the person who bought this in 2019, and keep in mind, this is like a year and a half ago, 18 months, right? So they would be paying $4,100 a month to own this property at, the interest rate, 5-year fix again, theory amortization. So you're seeing that they had to put $306,000 invest. But now if you were to buy that exact same house at a difference of $221,000, look at your current interest rate now, 1.39. So now you're looking at you're basically off by $9 a month to buy the exact same house 18 months later because interest rates are so low. So this is what I'm trying to explain. Like, because interest rates are so low, it's allowing people to qualify for more so that they're willing to push the prices up. That's reason number one into why a lot of prices are going up in all around like Southern Ontario. It's not a Toronto thing. It's all across Southern Ontario. Then I'm going to take the exact same example that I did with you previously on Turnberry Marketplace, and let's see how much equity they have. Because if they were, paying this much, very much likely they could, assuming, you don't fix it right, variable. And then again, why variable works, everything. But assume they change their interest rate to the current one at 1.39. Look, you basically just saved almost $600 a month. Do you think that's going to make people want to invest more and spend their money more? Because maybe they're very comfortable with the previous payment, right? So this is what I'm saying. Like, interest rates make a big, big difference. Now let's go through that exact same example again. So if you were to current price, so if you were to buy this right now, let's go into the amount of mortgage they paid down. So what's the remaining? Let's go into the third calculator here. So let's look for 2021 February right here. So let's look for that number. I don't want to mess up the numbers here. Right. Yeah, that sounds right. So that means there's that much remaining balance on it, right? So remaining mortgage, then equity, we subtract that. Right, so now these people have $500,000 of equity back in the property. Now, if they were to refinance the property, right? So now you take this amount and you leave the refinance. So this is the amount that they're going to get a new mortgage of. So when you take that new mortgage, subtract by this. I keep doing that. So cash out, refi, cash out. So now they're looking at $218,000 of equity that they could take out in order to invest into something, right? So all they really basically did in this example is they converted their $1.3 million home at 2.54 interest rate. If you guys aren't following, it's just the layman's basic breakdown into a $1.521 million mortgage at 1.39. So their payments are actually exactly the same, plus or minus $9, right? But what they did is now they've extracted $218,000 of equity out of their home. So for those who have a high enough income to do things like this, now you have $218,000 to go buy another property. If you're going to do 20% down on, say, like a small condo in downtown, right, like a bachelor, like $500,000, you could buy 2 of these equities, assuming that you can qualify for it, right? So this is why I think the government is going to keep this kind of real estate, quote unquote, froth, right? I don't use the B word, going, because when you have people who feel rich with lower interest rates, they go and buy more things, right? I mean, smarter people will probably be buying assets like real estate. Maybe some people after the pandemic will spend all this money on like vacations and everything, and then start pumping money into the Canadian economy and GDP, right? So this is why interest rates are staying low, and why the governments want to do this. Is it going to be a big problem for us in the future because the government is causing real estate prices to go up like crazy? Absolutely. I think so. But are they going to let this stop? Probably not, because they want everyone to feel rich and spend more money, buy more real estate so that the GDP is going to grow. So here's the other question I've been pondering a lot too. What happens when prices get to the point where it becomes completely unaffordable? Because at this rate, 2-3 years, it's going to be silly. I don't think it's going to go that far. Hope maybe something's going to stop it. Maybe there's more inventory that comes out, but this is silly. But what's the government going to do to kind of like pander to people who want to get, like first-time home buyers who want to buy something, right? They don't have any more things they can do. They're not going to drop interest rates anymore. And the first thing that I could think of is they're going to increase amortization, right? So what that means is instead of having your mortgage loan for 30 years, what if they do 35 years? Look, right now you're paying $4,100 for this $1.5 million home. But the minute I make this 35 years, you're back down to $3,600. That's $500 off again. Right? So is this going to give us more money or prices go up? Absolutely. Is this going to let first-time home buyers into the market? Yes. But is it going to cause prices go up again from there? Absolutely yes. So these are what I keep saying about like band-aid fixes that the government of Canada keeps putting in. Hypothetically, if they were to put in the 35 amortization, right? Remember how the last one this person needed was at paying for $4,100? So what's the prices going to be if you change amortization to 35 years, right? Let's say 1.7 mil. Do we get to $4,200 a rent? Right, there you go. Right? So now we're roughly the same thing. So that means that $1.5 million home that sold like a month ago, if they change the amortization and keep interest rates the same, can be a $1.7 million home, because no one cares what the asset is worth, right? Everyone is looking at what it's going to cost me a month to pay it for it. Now, there's a whole notion that people say, well, what if interest rates go up? Everything's going to blow up. I agree. If interest rates go up, a lot of things can blow up. It's not just real estate. The economy will blow up. Businesses will blow up because everybody is borrowing at such low interest rates. Even Canada, like I talked about before, they went from a $100 billion debt to a $500 billion debt. For them to increase interest rate, their payments are going to be even higher too. So I don't think interest rates can go up. They just kind of like, unfortunately, painted themselves into a hole, and now they just have to keep putting Band-Aid fixes on it over and over and over again until something happens. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't even have the answer, but for the next short term, this is what I see happening, right? And it's the explanation to why low interest rates are causing real estate prices to go up like this. Like, whether you like it or not, like, I don't think it's right personally, because a lot of people are going to get priced out, and people who own asset and own real estate are going to come out on top, right? Because they control the asset that's going up in price like this. But those who don't, they're going to be screwed. They're going to be upset. And this is why I'm saying, like, look, it's in the world right now that we're in, it's better to own assets that are going to go up and down with the price. Even when it comes down, at least you can go up as long as you can hold on to it, especially as investors. If you're looking for cash flow, make sure the property pays for itself out, whatever it is the prices are. And I'm going to talk more about that in next week's video, where I can help you and show you how to analyze cash flow. But for the time being, right, like, this is what I'm saying. It's not the right thing to do, but it's the thing that's happening. It's the game that the Bank of Canada and the government has kind of put on all of us. And you just need to understand why interest rates cause real estate prices to go up. Again, it's not something you have to agree with. It's something you can hate on me for. I'm just trying to give you a mathematic way of how a lot of these conversations are happening, on dinner side tables. We're like, look, guys, our properties are worth this much money. Should we refinance and buy something? This is why pre-construction condos are big again, because investors are coming back in. Investors are going to all over different areas, because anyone who owns something in the GTA right now has made equity, and all they can do is refinance at 1.39% and take money out. This is why real estate prices are going up. This is why there's more buyers than there are sellers. And for those reasons, I really, really hope you understand that it's not that I'm overly bearish or bullish on the real estate market. It's I can see the math. It's painted on the wall, and I just hopefully me doing this paints it for you on the wall, right?
and you understand why owning good assets is good for you. So hopefully this was helpful for you. You understand it. If you're trying to leverage the asset that you have and equity you have to find cash flowing properties, I'll put a link on the screen here for you to book a call with me to schedule like a strategy call. If this doesn't make sense for you and you're just saying, interest rates gonna go up and everything's gonna blow up, you can leave me hate comments in the YouTube. I don't think interest rates are going up, but let's see, right? Like you really just have to figure out what you want to do with kind of your finances, right? And that's kind of all I'm trying to do, give you the information and the conversations that I'm seeing and having with clients and how some of these numbers are working, because not everybody kind of sees it through these lenses. Hopefully this was helpful. Until next time, your move, your future. See ya. Now that you're done watching this one, how about this one? Oh, you know what? This one's good too. Ooh, this one's really good. You know what? Just watch them both.